welcome back to Bros Talk, the episode where I just show up and I say, "Hi, my name is DSY. We're gonna start Bros Talk right now." Talk, Try,
Oh
talk.
shit! Oh fuck!
Fuck. Okay, so I wanted to keep this short, but I just keep seeing all these things about politics and media, and I just wanted to have a fun little chat about it because it's one of those conversations.
Try.
and
First
brisk.
off,
But-
you
Already.
used the word politics and fun in the same sentence.
I'm already confused. We're 2
Politics
seconds
are
into the
fun.
episode.
Okay, so this is already a clusterfuck, which is perfect because I love clusterfucks. Anyways, so
There you go. Perfect representation of this episode.
Yep, exactly. So this is
Amazing.
sort of okay. So I've kind of gotten sick and tired about the whole debate if politics should be in media. Like, and this is not. I'm not just talking about like keep politics out of media or the people like. I'm also getting sick and tired of people saying, well, everything's inherently political. Like, you can't not have politics in media. I'm sick and tired of the entire debate in general because to me it seems like you have different groups of people who get different things from media arguing about what they want to get from media, and it's I don't know.
Let me see if I got it right. It's like politics in media is a real thing, but sometimes you have people that are seeing things that aren't there or are interpreting things in ways that they weren't intended to be, and then complaining about things that aren't really there. It's like someone complaining about every house being haunted when only some of them are haunted, and they're like, "Look at all the ghosts in this house," and you're like,
Well,
"No,
I
it's the
think
neighbors that are haunted."
I think I mean, there's a bit of that, but that's not really what I'm referring to. When you're looking at media and when you're looking at things, there's always a political message you can pull from it. There's always something being said because every piece of media comes from somebody's perspective, someone's worldview. By the nature of creating media or creating a story or whatever, you're putting your worldview into an observable bubble that anybody can look into.
Yeah.
Someone
Now-
made a comment once. They said Sonic the Hedgehog is a story about like nature fighting back against like rampant growth and machines and stuff of like consumers.
It's a science versus
stuff of that
nature, Aesop.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, the science
it's
versus nature
it's got the general themes of science versus nature.
Yeah, and then he said, "Was that
pollution.
intentional? Do most people see that from playing
Well,
Sonic the Hedgehog?
I
Or is
okay,
that
so
just
I
me?
think I think 90% of themes aren't like that's a bullshit thing. I think a lot of themes like in political views and messages within stories aren't intentional. But that's part
I
of
think
just
it depends on the
in
story,
general-
and that's the problem. It's like media is such a broad term, and people are like, keep
Yeah.
the politics out of media, and it's like that's like saying keep salt out of the ocean or out of
Well,
water.
Well, but like in general, because everybody has their own worldview, there's always going to be a political message, like in somewhere. Whether it's intentional or not is not really the point. Like, I'm not for saying, oh, this was the author's intention, but it's definitely worth like for someone like me, I'm interested in seeing what something has to say, regardless if that's what the author intended to say, because there's always some sort of commentary or whatnot. But I'm gonna stop there. That doesn't mean people don't have the right to enjoy media on a surface level and not think about the themes and messages and morals within the story. Because first off, not everything's intentionally has a moral within it, and even so, some of the best works that have like a moral, a political message or whatnot aren't ham-fisted, aren't about the politics. It's that the politics are in there and you can talk about them.
I think it depends upon I think the thing about media is that it kind of almost has to be looked at by a case-by-case basis sometimes, because the message that's being sent, the message that's being received, it's almost never the same message, and two people can get something completely different out of one story that meant to tell a specific story or meant to have a message or meant to not have a message at all and just be mindless entertainment.
Yeah,
Like
but
I
to some
get
degree, it's also 'cause
non-violence.
You've got this bubble of a worldview being viewed and like being peered into by people with other worldviews and other perspectives.
Yeah.
So everybody's gonna get something different from media, and it's not that it's not worth talking about. I think just people are sick and tired of the politics of the media being at the forefront. Something that I've like put in the Discord chat is I do think a lot of people use politics as a measurement of how good or bad something is, or as an excuse for not criticizing. Like, if you're criticizing this work, that means you are against this idea, when really a work can just be bad or generic or boring. Like, and regardless of the message, I think sometimes even the worst things are the ones where it's mostly political.
I do like
Like, well,
this conversation. I think I think the notion that everything is political in a way has some merit to me, or rather, it's like, I mean, what is politics really? It's kind of like
mhm.
how you think the world should be run and how it should work. So, I mean, if art is just built from life experience and who you are, then of course there's no reason for that to be excluded from that for no reason. But yeah, sometimes there's messages that are put in there purposely that are meant to be the main point of the work, and sometimes they're unintentional subtext or intentional subtext. It's not really the main deal. I think trying to strip it out of media of any kind is kind of silly because it's like just saying that a certain like type of idea is off limits. What was I gonna say? Sorry, you go.
I think a lot of what people are frustrated too, especially on the side that says that they don't want politics in their media. It's not that they don't. It's not that they're like, oh, like there shouldn't be any politics in media. It's the over focus on the politics within the media from the outside sources. It's not the politics within the media that people are bothered about. It's like your reviewers, your social media, it's your fan, like whatever political agenda out there is that tries to co-opt whatever story as something that's good or bad, and we only look at it for the people who are only looking at it for its politics rather than the actual merits of the work.
I think people only dislike politics being in their media if it's politics they disagree with. Like, how many people who hate how political games are now really love Metal Gear Solid and weren't, even though it's super brazenly political.
Well, I think it's less politics they disagree with. I think it's more people don't want to be challenged when they're trying to relax. People go into media, into game stories, but games and movies, I think especially, they go into those worlds to escape from things like politics or escape from their job. They're tired. They just want to be able to relax. And the last thing they want to do in that state is be challenged by some political idea, whether they agree with it or not.
Well, I think it's pretty.
It's pretty easy to not engage with the political nature of a work if you don't want to. I think. I feel like people can.
The same way about that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, well, I kind of feel like some people are like jumping at shadows a lot, or like they're super like they spend enough time on Twitter that even if they wanted to avoid this kind of thing, they're still like focused on it.
They're inundated with with this sort of bullshit.
You mentioned jumping at shadows, but it's kind of like jumping at shadows while stuck in a dark hallway where it's like everything is a shadow, and like it's kind of like to an outsider you're like completely overreacting, but to an insider you're like acting completely normally.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is about these perspectives is that like someone could be screaming about something and you could like about politics in a game and you could look at them and then you could look at the thing they're yelling about and you could say, I have no idea what you're talking about at all. And then because you have no idea what you're saying, they might get mad at you. So you don't want to say anything. And then it's like it's just this huge complicated mess.
Like, well, let me put it like this way. Let's use the examples of like a recent example would be something like Captain Marvel. And one of the like arguments that I hear about like from people on that side is that like it's not that I think where I find it interesting is that I see a lot of these people who complain about this like politicization of the media and art form is that they get frustrated with people specifically saying, oh, how great it is to have a powerful female figure in Captain Marvel when we just had Wonder Woman, which is a powerful woman figure, and no one made it's like no one cared then that there was this powerful woman figure.
I think people did care about Wonder Woman, but
what about Black Widow?
I've
not heard anyone call for like how great Black Widow is in the Avengers, and she's running around stabbing people.
Yeah, it's like
but she's not a good guy because she's an assassin, so we have to not acknowledge her.
But I think part of the problem with Captain Marvel becoming as big as a controversy as it was that you had a lot of people who said that they didn't like the movie or gave bad reviews to the movie.
And you guys still want me to like barge in when
Yeah.
the time rolls
Yeah,
around,
it's-
right?
it's-
Because
it's
it's getting
blood
close
time.
to that time.
Yeah. I think you have
Just like
two.
out of the blue.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I'd say like maybe give another 10 minutes and then it's good because we started
Well,
late.
that's the thing too, is that it's kind of like about like something that I've noticed too about like mentioning stuff in politics is like something I talk about with like transparency, intention, like transparency and intention is like, are you having a strong female character to boast about it, or are you writing a story that involves a strong female character?
Mhm.
Just on
Like,
the topic of
I look
Captain
at
Marvel, and that's what I'm wondering about if when it comes
Yeah,
to these
'cause-
people complaining, and like
Well, of course you're doing it to boast about it. I mean, it's like a giant, like,
But-
like when you see lots of, I guess, social justice in like giant blockbuster movies, it's like giant
You
corporations.
want to be in favor of the mob.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like they're
it's-
seeing a
well,
demographic that
it's-
they can sell to. So
well,
of course it's about that.
Well, it's political pandering, and granted, like it's not like this has been the only political pandering ever. It's that this
no,
is
that's
sort
just
of
an
where
example.
yeah, this is sort of like the current bit of political pandering right now.
Well, it's
And
just
I
what
think
it's art and like business meeting in the middle. Like this is not like an unusual process. I mean, this would happen with any other trend.
I just don't think people like getting those sorts of things shoved down their throats, and then people
Here's
don't
the
like-
thing. Here's the thing. It's like that about the phrase like shove stuff down their throat. We don't want a strong female character shoved down our throat. We'd like to have it as a full on like a full on meal that we can enjoy. We don't want
Yeah.
like Captain Marvel shoved down our throat because
Well-
she's a strong woman.
What are
we want
you
a
open knife
good.
for?
We want a
Well,
good
it's like,
movie
I wanna-
that has this
I want a
strong,
strong
female protagonist that we can love.
Here's
and
the
rally
clusterfuck
behind.
you asked for, Try.
Yeah,
That's
it's
like
I
that's
wanna,
where these problems come from.
It's like I want a character I can empathize with. I don't want someone to say you should like this character because they're a strong female character. I want someone to say that you should like this character because of XYZ. Like they've had this struggle, they're this person, they've overcame it this way. Oh, by the way, they're a strong female character. I didn't mention this before, but as you can see now, I'm like, oh, cool.
I made a comment once that I don't fully believe, but it's a comment that it's kind of weird how I'm bringing this up to further my argument, but when I personally don't believe it. But I had a comment I made in high school where I said, if you have to explain to me why I like a character, I'm probably not going to like them.
I
Because
think that's
you
a
can see for
pretty decent
yourself from a
statement.
story. You can see from yourself from a story or from the written works or from the presentation why a character should be likable. And likable
Well,
doesn't
and
even mean like heroic. Like people love Darth
Well-
Vader and he's a villain.
Well, and I think it sort of sells a character short, and it kind of shows the intentions behind, like I guess in some ways, let's say if Captain Marvel's like this, is like I haven't watched it. I'm just trying to use an example here.
I
Let's
love
say
I
Captain
love how we're
Marvel-
shitting on Captain Marvel.
Okay.
None of us have watched it.
I like the
I think-
movie. I've seen it.
Okay, so let's say Captain Marvel is a great, empathetic, someone you really want to root for, a great character, great acted, whatever. Let's say that's the case. People will only remember her because she's a strong female character, not because of X, Y, and Z, because this is what the narrative that's been shoved down our throats has been, is that she's a strong female character, not that she's this person that we want to look up to. And like person we want to empathize with. And that's sort of where I feel like a lot of this social politics kind of misses the mark, is that we're so busy labeling and saying why something's important rather than creating empathetic characters that maybe like okay, so
Everything
let's
is
say
so
you have-
shallow, is what you're saying,
yeah,
right?
it's like let's say you have conservative Joe, like in I don't know why I used the name Joe, but
Conservative
in-
Joe.
conservative Joe. Like,
Hi,
in,
I'm Conservative Joe.
Recurring lore of
Con-
Frozen Landfill.
Conservative Joe in rural Connecticut that has only like met a few black. There's like a couple black people down there, and they're all kind like and the black people are in rural wherever he is are of a similar mind to those. It's not this city perspective. It's very much a more rural, better. Like, and the people in the rural area have like, and he has a bias against city folk and city black people. Let's say he has that bias. Now, if you say that you got something like Black Panther, it's like if you say, "Oh, this is a really great, like this is a really important black character," like, well, it's really important because he's a strong black character in the Marvel universe. Connecticut Joe is not going to care.
Connecticut
If-
Joe.
I don't know. Did I say Kentucky? Yeah, Kentucky Joe's not going
I
to
thought
care.
I said it was conservative.
Yeah, Conservative Joe and Kentucky.
Conservative Joe and his brother Connecticut Joe and Kentucky Joe. Anyways, yes, before I completely derail you.
But if Conservative Joe goes to watch a movie that has an empathetic black character that gives a perspective into the struggles that these city folk have and allows Conservative Joe to see that, oh, maybe my perspective, like maybe what I thought was the case isn't actually the case, because you're actually able to empathize with these struggles that characters have. That's going to cause Conservative Joe to question his biases more so than, oh, this is an important black character that's important for this movement for whatever reason.
Make Conservative Joe watch the movie Get Out. Like, that'll really give him like he'll come out of the theater and he'll be like, whoa.
Okay. Yeah, it's like Get Out isn't a great movie because it's got black characters and it was made by a black person. Like Get Out's a great movie because Jordan Peele is a great director. He's a great artist and he knows how to write a really good story. Get Out's a really good story about racism. It's not good because it says stuff about racism. It's good and it says stuff about racism.
Well, I can see what you mean with the whole like when you spend your whole marketing campaign pushing Captain Marvel as here's the strong lady, then like you're gonna alienate someone who might have just walked into the theater and seen a strong lady and thought, that was interesting. But now it's like a thing. Now it's like this, and so now it's like for a particular audience. I mean, I don't know what the exact solution is, really but that's an interesting point.
So, I think it's really disrespectful to the create it's really disrespectful to the authors and the creators. I think maybe it's the original the comic creator of Captain Marvel. I think it's disrespectful to that, like whoever created Captain Marvel, because it's like now people will only remember Captain Marvel because she is a strong woman, not because she's. But
it's weird because that is like when you think about what's significant about this character, it's like, yeah, it's a woman in like a couple of decades ago timeline being a fucking badass. And
her being a strong female character is not the problem. Her exclusively being sold as one is the problem.
I guess, but I mean, like, how else do you sell a character like that? Introducing Captain Marvel with a really interesting personality. Her hobbies include walking on the beach,
let's use some
petting cats.
Hobbies aren't it's like, okay, let me like say something else too. Like, I've never liked textbooks growing up. I've always been a fan of like TV shows and visual media because there is so much you can do in like less than a minute, in like 5 seconds, with just by looking at someone. And like visual storytelling is like so powerful. You can make something as simple as Captain Marvel walking down the street, just the way that she walks with like a confidence, say more about her than her like just throwing up her backstory.
Yeah, but we're talking about
I was
marketing,
this hurt war hero.
Like you can't do a trailer of like subtle like environmental storytelling. You have to spoil the entire movie in 5 seconds.
Not exclusively subtlety stuff, but just something as simple as that. Something as simple as a fight scene of like say like a guy with a knife like runs up to her and she just like casually throws him over her shoulder and just like walks away, and it's like that would say something very strongly about her character.
Let's think of some like counterexamples. Some of the most like popular male characters. Captain America. Do people think of Captain America as this strong male character? No, he has this history. Like
no, but they don't have to, because men aren't put up to that same level of scrutiny. You can have a completely
more interesting than women.
No, it's because you can make a completely boring male character, and people won't be like, well, he's just there to pander.
No one remembers the boring male characters. The most influential remembered ones are the characters that.
Yeah, but they're not controversies either. Like,
well, it's a controversy because they like.
But yes, Captain America. Of course, Captain America is a better character than Captain Marvel. He's got more personality. I think it's a
controversy because people
I think it's more of a controversy when you have like a bad female character over a good female character, because there's just so many male characters that there's like a freaking ocean of them. And that's kind of part of that. Also, is a contributing factor into just the overall.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. They're not exactly equivalent.
I think another part of the controversy is that I feel people feel like you can't criticize the strong female character without being labeled a sexist or labeled bigoted in whatever way, because to some degree, yes, there isn't a lot of these characters, so we don't have a lot of things to work off of.
No, I'm with you.
I think that divide.
I think the problem comes down to people don't feel like they can they feel like their opinions on the story or on the character are devalued by other people, and they have these accusations levied against them because they didn't like it, and if they don't like it, they are this, or this, rather than, maybe this character wasn't written that well, and maybe there are criticisms that have it, but they don't feel like they can get it without being labeled this thing by a certain group of people.
It's kind of like,
sure.
It's like the existence of the divide itself.
It might be her being like a pandering political tool might genuinely make the character worse for you, considering that she's not an amazing character. So it's kind of complicated.
Well, I don't think people want to go into Captain... I think there's a lot of people who don't want to go into Captain Marvel thinking, oh, this is just a political statement. And they want to see a badass action movie with that Marvel... the typical badass Marvel movie. Which, in general, people have been kind of fed up with Marvel movies in general. I think... I've stopped watching Marvel movies after the second Avengers because they were all just the same to me, or I got bored. I couldn't keep up with them. Not everybody can afford to really keep up with every single Marvel movie.
Oh no,
you have one coming out. You have the one a one strong female one coming out, and and it's being marketed as a political stunt rather than, oh, this is a really good movie. It's just, well, it's another Marvel movie I don't have to see, or great, now I don't think it's going to be a special Marvel movie because it's just going to be a political statement rather than an interesting story.
Well, or I think the real problem is that it's a weird corporate political statement by a giant machine that wants to make a lot of money. It's if one guy made it, or a small team, it was here's a passion project, you'd be more inclined to not see it as a cynical attempt to take your money.
But that's the other thing.
By
people
piggybacking off of something.
So I'm going to barge in soon. So
okay,
sure.
Let me just say, people who make passion projects don't hide behind the facade of this is good because it's political. They don't focus on the political aspect on there. You can see the politics on, maybe the political view on the front. That's partially what's great about something like my lesbian. I think it's called my lesbian experience with depression.
Oh, I remember that book. I read that one in high school.
What's great about that is you can see the political message right on front, but it's not about the politics. It's about this empathetic, great character, and I think it does a lot to grade for.
Is it a character if it's an autobiography?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's in general. I think it's good because I like the auto. You get the point. It's not just it's made for a specific reason other than to pander to this political stuff. This person had something they wanted to say and they wanted to share. It's not this political pandering.
Yeah, it's genuine. It's not
as long as
McDonald's
we're talking about
Twitter
books
saying something funny.
As long as we're talking about, people can tell when something's genuine and not genuine, and it kind of makes it hard to want to watch something if it doesn't feel like it's a genuine passion project.
Fair enough.
As long as we're talking about autobiographical comic books, where's the one? There's one I really like. I think it's called "Our Cats Are More Famous Than Us." Let me go grab the book.
Reminds me of that Junji Ito Cat Diary. That's really good.
Can we play some elevated music while Dizzy looks for his book?
Oh no, Tar's gonna come in and drop the quip before Dizzy comes back.
All right, but only because you said so.
It's by Yuko
Welcome
Ocha
back to
and
Bros.
Anthony.
Oh, well then.
Oh, you guys stop! You guys started. Buy this book. It's really good.